Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the press conference held by His Majesty's loyal opposition of the House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands. Welcome to those who have tuned in online and those who have tuned in via radio. And also to the media who's among us today, we welcome you. Today's press conference will follow this format. We will have presentations by members of the opposition. Our first presenter will be the member for the 2nd District, Honorable Melvin Turnbull, followed by Territorial Member Honorable Stacey Mather. And then the final presentation will be from the Leader of the Opposition and member for the 6th District, Honorable Myron Walwyn. After the presentation, each member or representative from the media will be allowed 3 questions and 1 follow-up. Thereafter, the Leader of the Opposition will give the closing remarks. So to begin, I will turn the first presentation, over to the member for the 2nd District. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leder. Good afternoon to the people of the Virgin Islands, especially the wonderful people of the 2nd District who have given me this opportunity to serve on their behalf, to the press, all who love these Virgin Islands, live here, and who are continue to hold the government to account. I join today with my 2 colleagues, the Honorable Leader of the Walwyn and the Territorial. Before we begin, we know the weather up indicating should be affecting Tropical Storm Erin, and I know the 3 of us have been extremely busy over the last couple of days, even before we got here, trying to ensure that our community, people within our communities and the wider Virgin Islands are safe and prepared, doing some gut cleaning and clearing of debris from the heavily affected areas if we have that heavy rainfall. So we just want to also advise the public to not take anything for granted. Prepare. Log to the CDM site, to their Facebook page, listen to the radio, get your net essential flashlights, because we don't want to be taken off guard. And I want to extend the appreciation to the team from the DDM. I see the team from the Public Works Department and the ministry going out there and trying to hurry to get as much done as possible. So I, in the 2nd District, another 8th District, as well, and there's Coventry. It's one of the people. Also, a good friend of mine. I extend condolences to her and her family, as well as all the other persons who are bereaved throughout the territory, those who are hospitalized. We extend our prayers and God's continuous guidance and sustaining strength to be with you and your families. As we get into this debate, I want to ensure that I start, because here we would have been getting to the point where we were prepared for the vote of no confidence in the House of Assembly, which was held just about 2 weeks ago. The vote of no confidence came to the House Assembly, appeared in the audit paper in around May of 2025. But we only got to it just about 2 weeks ago. I think it was on July 29th and July 31st. Those were the dates that we got to the vote of no confidence. It is my belief, and it is the truth in any political atmosphere, that a vote of no confidence is not a political maneuver. It is a moral imperative. It is a call to examine the leadership of this territory and to ask, in the 23 clauses that we prepared, are the people in leadership truly serving the people, or are they serving themselves? This vote of no confidence was about accountability, transparency, and responsiveness. It was a chance to confront fiscal management, mismanagement, governance failures, and erosion of public trust. In that vote, the honorable leader of the opposition was able to speak for about 3+ hours, 3.5 hours thereabout, and explain to the people of the Virgin Islands and lament on and highlight on the issues surrounding what is plaguing this territory, from healthcare to education, all the way to infrastructure and to the cost of living and just the general ability to live and be comfortable in these Virgin Islands. I appeared on the Tuesday for the House of Assembly that morning. On Tuesday when the leader opposition thing, and then we took a break. On Thursday we appeared to the House of Assembly. I was there about 9:20, one of the first members there. And I remember being absolutely prepared. The Deputy Speaker, who was in the chair at the time, Honorable Dawson, was in the chair, and he was asking for suggestions from the members there present, how much time we think we would need. The members that were there at that time, we agreed that we should go at least half the time from the leader of the opposition, which would have been just about an hour and a half. And around 10 a.m., which was supposed to be the start time of the House, the members came and they started discussing going to the funeral of the dead departed Mr. Shabazz Hodge. I stuck around for a little while, and then the Premier came around 10:20. It was then that he also was informed by myself that the other members went to the funeral. Ladies and gentlemen of the Virgin Islands, the people of the 2nd District, I understand the duty and the responsibility that has been placed on me. And I have no intention of making any excuses for not being able to debate. I left the House of Assembly. It is something that I shouldn't have done, to attend this funeral, and by the time I was getting in my car, the Honorable Leader of Opposition called my phone, and then I quickly turned on the radio to hear that the House had resumed. The Speaker was calling for members to debate, which none did, and by the time I got to the House, he had already called for the Leader of Opposition to wrap up. I want to let you, the people, know that I have been beating myself up about not being there. I felt like I let myself down, let the people down, let the leader opposition and the members here within the opposition down. Because I was there and I was ready to debate. I even indicated to the Speaker before I left that I had planned to debate this bill. I was actually not going to be 3 hours, but I was going to give my contributions to the debate with the issues that are surrounding this territory. Be that as it may, even though I missed the debate, I believe I was there for one of the most critical parts of the entire motion, which was the vote. And I was able to vote yes with the leader opposition, who was the mover of the bill. And it was only the two of us that voted yes, and other members of the government side voted against the motion, and one member abstained from the opposition. Honorable Mater will say his piece. But my vote yes was not just for party, it was about principle. My vote was a stand for the people, for their cries, for their hurts, for their voices. It was a no, it was a vote against the silence, against the neglect, against the dismissal of legitimate concerns in support of the Premier, so that the members of government side could remain in their seats, not doing anything to address the needs of the people, which is what they did. At no point did any government member or minister refute or debate this motion. So everything that was put before those in those 23 clauses, they chose to ignore them and just support the premier as if everything is okay. I believe what it was the opportunity to awaken the premier and his government that they can't continue to carry on like they have and not attend to the cries of the people who, through their beckoning, and the members of the opposition who are here now standing united, continue to lament on, continue to try our best to be the voices of the people that we represent from District 1 to 9 and lay out the concerns of you, the people of the Virgin Islands. And it is something that, be it that the vote was against us, the suffering still continues in the Virgin Islands. Nothing seemingly is changing, and the government seems to be on a celebratory moment that they defeated the vote, but the issues still remain. What we witnessed from the government was not leadership, it was loyalty to power. Instead of addressing the contents of the motion, they chose to defend the premier and ignore the substance. No answers to the questions raised. Proper retirement benefits for our seniors, nothing was said. Creating and implementing a consumer price index to regulate the consumer protection legislation, which will benefit families in the territory who are barely able to meet ends meet, nothing was said. A development plan for fixing the water issues in the territory. I know in the 6th district, I can speak about your district because I have some interest there. For the last 2 days has been without water. Just Van Dyke has been fighting without water for weeks now. Bruce Bay and other areas have been fighting to get water. The damage to the road infrastructure, where people continue to experience and incur damages to their vehicle. That's a cost to the consumers and the people of this territory. There has been no answer to developing a tourism plan to diversify our offerings and increase the overnight guests and the revenues we collect. There's no plan to protect the environment and to just give fancy speeches. There's been a consistent and committed effort to continue this reckless waste and spending on parties that bring no economic benefit to taxpayers. There's been no attempt, no meaningful or significant attempt to address the issue with the $5 million given to Bank of Asia. You are hearing more fancy words and hearing members hiding behind words and protecting members, the premier protecting members of his government because now they are seemingly have a convenient allegiance to you for their own preservations over the good of the people of this country. I learned a long time ago that nothing works itself out of a lie but the truth. So all the words, all the blame and shadows that are being thrown to surround the Bank of Asia will not stay uncovered, just like the $7.5 million for BVI ways, the $20 million overrun for the salary increase, the $250,000 that was spent for the nonstop party for the nonstop flight, the $300,000 that we learned about for the Uber Soca cruise that has already been committed, which the premier stated that isn't enough money, so he's probably going to try to find some more money. The $250,000 or $220,000 given to Vibes Cartel, the $1 million failed music festival, $100,000 that was given to 4 businesses between the HLS Community College and the Fat Hats Bob's restaurant. But only $150,000 was put away and budgeted for businesses and entrepreneurship in the BVI. There has been no acknowledgement of the pain felt by our people in the BVI, no commitment to change or reform. What we saw and what we experienced from this government was a commitment to bleed green. Who born in VIP and who's committed to the premier and who's committed to whatever they're committed to, but not the needs of the people. It's not about bleeding green. It is about what's right and what's wrong. It's about having a conscience and a heart for the people of the Virgin Islands. And when leaders choose party over people, They betray the very oath that they swore to uphold and the people that they said they would serve. People of the Virgin Islands, I know that you're not asking for perfection. You're simply asking for honesty. You're asking for leaders who will listen, who will act, and who simply care. And I believe the three of us have started in our own political careers. You have examined us for as long as we've been in the House of Assembly, and even now as we stand united as the alliance, members of the alliance in the opposition, you see that we care and you see that we're there to put forward our best efforts. I believe some of the points that I will find a way to raise as we go and continue to represent you, the people. One of the things that has to be held to account is the misuse of the public funds and the lack of fiscal discipline by this government. It is bad, and it will continue to be bad because there's no plan for anything that they do. The failure to implement reforms in infrastructure, the growing disconnect between the government and the decision of the community needs, urgent need for governance models that respects autonomy and empowers local leadership. If I was to echo some of the points that raised by the leader of opposition in his powerful debate, I believe one that deserves answers, not deflection, not a pointing the finger, which is the old thing, not anything substantial to address the needs of a hurting people. Single mothers who are unable to afford basic necessities for their children. We're getting ready to go into another academic year. The minimum wage has been increased by $1.25. What are we expecting our people to do? So I believe the points raised by the Honorable Leader of Opposition in his contribution would continue to go forward. And the good thing about a vote of confidence, we could continue to bring them back and bring them back and bring them back until this government does something about it, until we get rid of them and replace them with people. I mean, this press conference is not just about us coming to say we are going to continue to be your voice. It is now moving to where we are going to act, and we're going to continue to show our unity. We're going to show our camaraderie for justice, for truth, and accountability to the people of these Virgin Islands. I, as second district representative, will continue. Then my living will us here and Honorable Stacy contributions.
Thank you, Honorable Trumbull. Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the media that are present and those watching and listening on those live streams. I have come today before you to address my absence during the recent vote of no confidence in the House of Assembly. First and foremost, I want to take responsibility, full responsibility, for not being present for the vote itself. On that morning, I encountered some unforeseen difficulties that would have delayed me significantly. I immediately reached out to my two colleagues after 7 a.m. to inform them that I would be very late that day. It is important for me to say that I am known among my peers on both sides as one of the more punctual members in the House. Being on time and being ready to fully engage in the tasks of the House of Assembly is something that I take very seriously. On that day, I was very well prepared to debate the motion. My absence was in no way an attempt to avoid that important debate, nor to shirk my responsibilities entrusted to me by the people who elected me. I was ready to fully engage. It is also necessary for me to address and firmly reject the malicious and disingenuous insinuations, including those propagated by paid political advisors, that somehow my absence amounted to an act of sabotage against my colleagues. For those who know me and know my character, I assure you that if I had not intended to participate in a vote of no confidence, I would have been upfront, point blank, and I would have said that I am not supporting the motion. Now, the motion itself and the clauses within it, outlined by the leader of the opposition, address real and pressing concerns affecting our territory. The clauses highlighted issues spanning from economic development, social welfare, healthcare, access to basic needs, utilities, and the very real struggles of our people regarding the escalating cost of living. These are not abstract or trivial matters. They spoke directly to the everyday life, the water that flows in our homes, the roads that connect our communities, the health services that safeguard our communities and families, and the pensioners and social protections that honor our elders and most vulnerable. Yet despite these crucial issues being laid out clearly and comprehensively, we heard cries that the timing of this debate was somehow wrong. But I ask why? If these matters are truly secondary of importance, have we or should we not have seen clear and actionable plans from the government to diversify our economy, to fix our roads, to timely addressing the water shortages and address other community issues that have been consistently raised by the opposition and members of the community? The argument that financial services is under attack is indeed true, and it is the backbone of our treasury. It is not lost, but is not solely enough. The need to diversify the economy, address the concerns that impact some of the people who toil daily to build this country. The fishermen, the farmers, the small business owners, the workers, the young, the elders, they deserve more than saying these problems existed before this government, or the constant comparisons of past governments did this so we can do that. These statements or excuses are no comfort to the public. They're no comfort to me. We deserve water that is reliable, roads that are safe, healthcare that is accessible, a cost of living that is manageable, and pensions that provide dignity. These are not mere talking points to dismiss. These are the cries of people for whom the house is meant to be the house of the people. As I mentioned in my contributions in the sitting under other business, the need to recognize different perspectives is necessary. The government and its supporters have decided to focus on the absences. While I found it astonishing and prefer to focus was that the refusal of the members of the government to defend their positions during the debate. The vote presented an opportunity to publicly respond to criticisms and demonstrate transparency and accountability, two words that are always thrown around by political leaders. Sadly, we witnessed a lack of willingness to do so. For even a child, when accused of doing something, seeks to defend him or herself with facts, rather than the silence of guilt. The government was quite silent, deafeningly silent. I was particularly struck by the statement of one member, and my colleague mentioned this, who openly declared their loyalty to their party above their loyalty to the people of his territory. Such a declaration is bold indeed, and I find it deeply concerning. As I have said before, our paramount duty as elected members should always be to the people we serve, the men and women, the youth, and the elders of the Virgin Islands, not to any party loyalty that supersedes our commitment to the community. But it is a reminder that sometimes our political alliances can blind us to the foremost responsibilities that we have as elected officials, which is our people. The leader of the opposition's presentation highlighted real documented issues and concerns. Those who listened to Honorable Walwyn's presentation, they could attest to that. Yet the government chose silence over dialogue, denial over explanation, and party allegiance over meaningful solutions. These critical concerns still today remain unresolved. The failure to engage constructively does a disservice not only to the House, but to the people who place their trust in us. Now let me be clear. At no point did I believe that the motion of no confidence would be successful. Many in our community understood this reality as well. But the fact that this motion did not provoke a mature, responsive, and accountable attitude from the government, and instead was met with unfounded comparisons of devils and angels, only reinforces a troubling truth. While some may appear to feast and celebrate, their concerns are not with the people who sent us here to serve. A vote of no confidence is a democratic tool designed to hold government accountable. Had the vote of no confidence been successful, it would have resulted in an immediate change. It would not have resulted in an immediate change of the government. Instead, it would have led to the dissolution of the House of Assembly and triggered a call for a new election. This outcome would have created an opportunity for many individuals with political aspirations to consider making a political push seriously. This was not about the alliance taking over the country or taking over the government. This was about a democratic tool being used. At the moment, at that moment, those losing ground politically would have been the current government. While the vote of no confidence is traditionally seen as a fundamental democratic mechanism for ensuring government accountability, it is only recently that some have portrayed it as a weapon of division rather than a legitimate part of the democratic process. Rather than destabilizing democracy, the vote of no confidence acts as a critical check on the governing power and an expression of legislative oversight. In fact, listen to this. In years gone by, the leaders of the Virgin Islands demonstrated an impressive ability to stand alone, guided by conscience and principle rather than political alliance. The Legislative Council, what we now know as the House of Assembly, was treated as a respectable institution where the business of the people was conducted with dignity rather than exploited as a tool for personal or partisan gain. For example, one esteemed leader in our community recently recalled a vote of no confidence during the 1980s, a very mature person in our community, and brought to my attention that the late Honorable Willard Wheatley, who happens to be the late grandfather of our current premier, on a memorable day, Honorable Wheatley lost his seconder for a motion of no confidence, meaning it had lost the formal support required for a typical parliamentary procedure being successful. Needless, the council recognized the significance of what he was raising and allowed him to present his motion. This was democracy in action, as the elder related to me, an acknowledgement that issues brought before the people's chamber deserved a fair hearing regardless of political rivalry or strict rules. Another telling example was one of our beloved H.L. Stout, when he introduced the bill to establish Social Security, an initiative that would ultimately protect generations of Virgin Islands. He found himself abandoned by his members of his own Virgin Islands party government, who were hesitant to support the legislation. Undeterred, Stout reached across the aisle to opposition leader at the time, the late Ralph T. O'Neill, and gathered the support needed to ensure the bill's success. This episode, and these two episodes are examples, exemplifies true statesmanship, a willingness to transcend party lines for the greater good of the territory. Such acts stand in stark contrast to the present day, where political maneuvering and perpetual campaigning and public grandstanding often take the precedence over meaningful legislative work. The focus has shifted from serving the people to scoring points and promoting personal agendas. Unlike the leaders of old, who consistently demonstrated courage in the face of adversity, vision to recognize what was needed, and humility to heed constructive criticism, current attitudes risk eroding the very foundations of democratic governance in the Virgin Islands. To be one man standing alone should be celebrated and not criticized, because it takes courage to do so. If we wish to honor our past and build a brighter future for us, we must restore respect in the House of Assembly and rekindle a spirit of service, integrity, and unity among leaders, putting the welfare of the Virgin Islands above all else. Therefore, I say to you, despite the challenges and political performances, I remain committed, along with my two colleagues, to continue to raise the concerns of all segments of our society, the young who represent the future, the mature who shoulder family and community responsibilities, and the most senior among us who deserve dignity, respect, and security. The pensioners are constantly screaming. We all receive messages daily as members of the House of Assembly, yet we have not addressed it. But as my colleague laid out, there are funds for parties, there are funds for many other things, but the immediate needs of the country and the concerns of those on the ground are not being heard. The mandate among us three is clear, is to speak truth to power, to hold the government accountable, and to advocate tirelessly for the betterment of the Virgin Islands. And my commitment is unwavering. As I've consistently asked, who are we building this Virgin Islands for? Today I declare again, we must build this Virgin Islands for Virgin Islanders and citizens who are here now and for those to come. As an opposition member, it is difficult sometimes to walk into the House of Assembly knowing that a motion, a bill, if your opinion differs from the majority, that it will be shut down. But that does not bring me to the point of not having the courage to be disliked among my peers. My time in the House of Assembly, as I know it, is limited to what God intends me to do and what my people afford me the opportunity to do. I do not take that for granted. So I say again to my people, I apologize and my colleagues for my absence. Again, I reject the notion that my allegiance and my respect to my colleagues, including the leader of the opposition, and also the two members who are absent today, is not honest and truthful as my commitment to the Virgin Islands and the people who put me in the House of Assembly. If I may, with Tropical Storm Erin approaching, I just want to say to the people of the Virgin Islands, be neighbors, be friends, and be family to everyone. Look out for others, be mindful, share, be considerate, and above all, pray. Be grateful for what we have, and may this time, tomorrow, the day after that, and next week, may we be grateful that we are spared, and if we're not, may we be grateful that we still have life. I thank you.
Now invite the from Iron Wallen to make his contributions.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the people of the Virgin Islands, and particularly the people of District 6 and members of the media. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are here as representatives of His Majesty's loyal opposition, committed to upholding the principles of transparency, accountability, and democratic values that our territory holds dear. This press conference has been convened to address what we describe as a slow erosion of hope, a breakdown of trust, and a government more concerned with political survival than service to you, the good people of the Virgin Islands. We are standing in the shadow of leadership that governs by reaction, not by principle, by convenience, not by conviction. A vote of no confidence was recently brought against this current government. A vote of no confidence is not merely a matter of securing a majority. It serves a deeper, more critical function in a democratic system. At its core, it is a mechanism through which elected representatives convey the public's dissatisfaction with the government's leadership or policies. It is a vital instrument of accountability in any healthy parliamentary democracy. It reflects the will of the people, signaling that those in power have failed to uphold responsibilities entrusted to them. Beyond the numbers, it is a call for accountability, transparency, and reform, a powerful reminder that governance must remain aligned with the needs and concerns of the citizens it serves. To portray it as something sinister, demonic, or some attempt to destabilize the country is not only irresponsible, but it also reveals a troubling lack of understanding of how our democratic institutions are meant to function. What I witnessed from the government during the vote of no confidence offends me deeply, not only as a representative, but as a proud citizen of these Virgin Islands. The vote of no confidence was brought against the government headed by Honorable Dr. Natalio Wheatley. His government chose not to debate it, sending a clear message that to them, your concerns are not worthy of a response. This vote of no confidence encompassed the very issues that affect you, the people, in your daily lives. However, during the other business segment of the parliamentary sitting, they resorted solely to party political rhetoric, an apparent attempt to deflect from their inability to defend a dismal record of failure on the substantive points raised. Rather than addressing the serious concerns brought forward on your behalf, they chose to engage in political posturing, offering no meaningful explanations or solutions. At the end of their political party rhetoric, and carefully choreographed displays of loyalty to a premier who has shown himself bankrupt of ideas to move this territory forward, we are left with the same realities we had before. The economy of the territory remains flat on its back, showing little to no signs of meaningful recovery, and more troubling, there are no clear plans from this government for its revitalization. No economic plan as mandated by the Public Finance Management Act, no tourism plan, no plan for agriculture, no investment plan, no plan for anything. After the Premier finished masquerading in his green suit like a leprechaun on St. Patrick's Day, the reality remained unchanged. Still no inward hotel development, no investment, and no progress. The theatrics might entertain, but they do not put a single shovel in the ground or a single dollar into our tourism sector. While Prospect Reef remains in its dilapidated state for the past 7 years under this government, Hilton Hotels just opened a 126-room Hampton Hotel near Havenside Mall in St. Thomas just a few days ago. What is wrong with us? Unemployment, especially among young people, continues to rise at an alarming rate, and yet the government's only apparent response is to send them to cut bush. Let me be clear, cutting bush is not a job program. It is not a long-term solution. Our youth deserve real opportunities, real skills training, and real pathways to meaningful and sustainable employment. After all the obligatory praises by his colleagues was concluded, and the Premier was sufficiently inflated with hot air, the people were left exactly where they started, returning to their homes without water, unable to meet even the most basic daily needs. The single most pressing issue affecting the daily lives of people of these Virgin Islands is access to water. It is unacceptable that in 2025, our citizens still struggle to access a consistent and safe supply of this most basic necessity. The government has borrowed $100 million, money that you, the taxpayers, will ultimately be responsible for repaying. I firmly believe that these funds should be directed first and foremost toward resolving the water crisis once and for all. Yet, based on the current allocation of $100 million, this is clearly not the government's priority. This is a grave misjudgment. We, the people, must not allow this to happen. Access to water is not a luxury. It is a right, and it must be treated as such. After all the political circus that unfolded under other business, the people of the territory of the Virgin Islands are still left with pressing questions. Chief among them, what happened to the $5 million of public funds placed in the failing Bank of Asia? Why were those funds deposited there when the Premier knew or ought to have known that it was not a secure or appropriate place for taxpayers' money, having regards to the fact that the owners of the bank filed bankruptcy in January of the very year that the money was deposited? The Premier needs to tell the truth on this whole matter and stop casting the blame on public officers in the Ministry of Finance. The debate during the vote of no confidence provided the perfect opportunity for him to speak to the people about their $5 million, but he avoided it like it was a contagious disease. He would not come nowhere near it. After all the political pageantry that took place during other business, the Premier continues to spend taxpayers' money on parties and non-essential indulgences, while far more urgent and important matters are being ignored. And all of this is being done with the full and unequivocal support of its government members. Not one has stood up to question these misplaced priorities. During the recent Schedule of Additional Provision number 1 of 2025, commonly referred to as the SAP, which was before the House of Assembly during the recent 7th sitting of the Second House, the Premier and his government colleagues approved another $1.3 million for party and other non-essential indulgences. As you heard from my colleagues before, this includes $300,000 for the Uber Soca Cruise Party, $219,000 for a trip to Carifesta in Barbados this month. This is in addition to the $250,000 spent on a non-stop party with American Airlines, the over $300,000 given to Vibe Cartel, the over 1 million spent on his failed music fest, and all the other things that are being done unbeknown to the public. While the Premier continues to spend public funds callously, he has consistently refused, though being asked repeatedly by members of the opposition to allocate adequate resources towards programs that truly matter, such as the development of a seniors program across all districts and the creation of job opportunities for the differently abled adult population. This is not just a question of poor budgeting. It is a reflection of misplaced priorities and a lack of compassion for some of the most vulnerable members of our society. Life is hard in these Virgin Islands. Families are struggling to make ends meet, to put food on the table, to hold on to hope as our once buoyant middle class is disappearing before our very eyes. Time and again, we hear the same painful sentiment that this is the worst state our country or our people have been in modern times. And what makes it even more heartbreaking is watching public funds squandered, wasted, while so many people are in desperate need. I would like to inform the people yet again of one other very important matter before I conclude my remarks. The United Nations Special Committee on Decolonization recently adopted a draft resolution calling for the full decolonization of the British Virgin Islands. The Premier and his government has been on this quest for independence, and it is deeply concerning that the Premier and his government continues to engage in advanced discussions around independence with the United Nations without first seeking the approval or consent of the people of the Virgin Islands to do so on their behalf. Any conversation about the future political status of this territory, particularly one as significant as independence, must be grounded in transparency, public consultation, and the will of the people. To proceed otherwise is not only undemocratic, it's a direct affront to the principles of self-determination that the United Nations itself upholds. We must express our absolute contempt for this authoritarian style approach, and we must demand that the Premier and his colleagues come before the people and make their case for independence, not behind closed doors, but in the full sight of public scrutiny. The work of the opposition is not about party lines. It's about the future of our democracy, our dignity, and our people. We urge every Virgin Islander to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay ready. Thank you, and as cliche as it may sound, may God continue to bless these Virgin Islands.
Okay, time for questions.
Good afternoon, Kathy Richards, JTV News. My question to any one of you who wish to answer. We would have heard from you your grave concern about the state of this territory, the economic situations, roads and waters and all of it. We would have heard from several legislators in the past that when we had a unity government, we got more actions. If we are to understand that things are that bad, do you see the formation of a unity government allowing things to move faster and better for the people of this territory?
Kathy, I don't think just saying a unity government would solve the problem. Government is made up of individuals. And any government must plan for its work and its execution of its work. I've mentioned before that even within legislation, for instance, the Public Finance Management Act, it mandates the Minister of Finance to have an economic plan over his 4-year term. Whoever is in the seat must organize themselves to work. We know what the main economic drivers are for this country: tourism and financial services. You must have a plan. Agriculture, you must have a plan. Tourism development, you must have a plan. And you must also fund the imperatives well. And that is a point that we're making, that the government is not sitting down. And the thing is, there's no shortage of ideas, because ideas to move a country forward doesn't necessarily have to come from the persons who are elected. You must be humble enough, magnanimous enough to be able to also take advice from persons who may not be in the government but may be expert in the respective areas that can help the country. And there has been no shortage of ideas coming to the fore to assist this government. But clearly what we are seeing is that their priorities are elsewhere. It is not for what is best for this country. It is more, to me, about holding on to power and enjoying the ride for as long as they can.
Kathy, thank you. Thank you for the question. If I may respond, uh, the mic, the mini. If memory serves me correctly, the unity government had three parties. It would have been the Virgin Islands Party, the Progressive Virgin Islands Movement, and also the National Democratic Party. If you look at the present government, we have three political parties. The Virgin Islands Party, we have an independent candidate that has been declared Honorable Smith, and we also have 100% of PU. That sounds like three political units to me, and that is a unified government or unity government. I would say when you show up to work, you will work. But if you do not show up to work and to listen and to get things done, then you're just showing up. So to say directly to your suggestion, we have that, or your question, I should say, sorry. We have that presently in much similar fashion to what we had previously. The difference was there was a big stick held over the unity government at that time, which made them do what they needed. But now we sit saying we finished the COI recommendations. What's next? Instead of saying this is what is next as a government for our people.
To answer your question, I was a member of the unity government. And as the Honorable Mather stated, Honorable Walwyn hinted to it as well, it is not so much about the political parties as much as it is the people who are there. And if you have persons who are in government who understands the needs of the people, who prioritizes the needs of the people above their own preferences or party politics, then you would have changes being felt for the people. Because the easiest way to defeat a country or defeat an idea or to defeat anything that you want to accomplish in life, if you have no plan, no commitment to the plan, or you move too slow. This government has no plan, so they can't be committed to any plan. And everything that you see happening in this territory moves absolutely too slow. So it is not about a unity government as a cover, because as a member of the unity government, I could guarantee you, if you go back and see, even yesterday I was in a meeting, the things that I would have been able to accomplish as my short time as minister, it was for the benefit of the people of this territory, not about me or not about any party. It was about the people of the Virgin Islands and ensuring that we are doing what is necessary to move this country forward.
Okay. My next question. You spoke a lot about the what appears to be a commitment to a party. Are we to understand that this is happening within the political sphere, as in the government side, or are we talking about the need for persons to remove from party politics to a more country and concern politics? Because what we would have seen at the last election clearly tells us that the people of this territory have shifted tremendously from party voting and politics.
If I'm a leader, of what you're seeing now is a government which is fractured, very fractured. They are willing at all costs to maintain their power. So they, through the night, are willing to get rid of the premier current premier in the party, and all the members in the party in the same government trying to push up themselves for power and take over his seat. But when it comes to addressing the needs of the people, which will raise in the vote on the confidence through those 23 clauses, you see them all back down from that and give this appearance and this false sense of allegiance that they're supporting the premier and they are agreeing with everything they do, and nothing that the opposition put forward is problematic at the issue. Here's the trouble that I have, and I think all of us have in the opposition, is the fact that the issues that are affecting the people affect the VIP people, but they are doing nothing about it. And I think all persons in the Virgin Islands are becoming frustrated. So for us, it is about doing what is best and right for the people and forgetting this allegiance to party politics.
I would say to your question, Kathy, that when people put an X to your name, it is something they should take very, very seriously. They're saying that they've placed their confidence in you to represent their interest in the House of Assembly. If you're aligned with a party, you're aligned with a party, and you align with the party because you share the same value system at that time. What is important is for the political organization to also understand that that organization is a vehicle for betterment for the people of the country. That has to be understood. And in understanding that, there must be maturity, that the organization or the government is made up of individuals who have different experiences and different views. And you must cultivate an environment where all those views are allowed to be ventilated without anybody feeling as if you're not with us. We saw it in the first vote of no confidence. We saw one member was fired because she was asked a question as to whether or not she would support the vote of no confidence. And she was fired because she said that she was not sure how she would vote. That is an example of an organization that holds more dearly the virtues of the political organization than the virtues and the interest of the people. And what happened on this next occasion, because of what happened the first time, the same person came back now singing the wonderful praises of the same premier who, and bear in mind, there was no significant change from the letter of the first vote of no confidence and this one that was brought recently. And during the passage of time, there were absolutely no improvements at all to none of the matters raised. But you saw silence. You saw people blowing hot smoke up the premier, extolling his virtues of failure, when they know fully well that the state of affairs in this country, for even they themselves and their families, were not good. And so, whatever political organization we have, the culture of that organization is important. It's a political party that's a vehicle for improving the country. It's not a cult. Everybody can't fall in line the same way. You must create an environment where you foster openness. That's the way you get better, really, to do the job for the people of the country. And shamefully, that's not the Virgin Islands Party.
Kathy, if I may respond to your question. When we look at the Virgin Islands presently, and I've said this publicly and I said it in my presentation earlier, once you're elected to the House of Assembly, I'm of the opinion that you are no longer serving allegiance primarily to a political unit. And I may be in the minority in that thought, but I do want to echo that in some circles in the Virgin Islands, I think this is primarily why within the constitutional review that we have, we've been calling to have the premier elected at large. Because most of the citizens in this country feel a need to be able to have a voice as to who becomes the leader of our country, maybe even the deputy and the ministers. And this is also why within the House as an at-large member, I have attempted repeatedly to highlight the disparity of fairness when it comes to the allocation of votes for funds for civil works, and other things where it seems as if the sabotage of territorial members, especially those under opposition, is the game that is being played. And I will echo that again today when I say to you, yes, I do think the country wants to move away, not just from political parties, but they want to have more influence in how leadership, once elected, is selected.
And my final allowed question is to you, Honorable Walwyn, based on your directing to the latter part of your presentation earlier, and that is towards the move, the discussions that we understand that the Premier and others are pursuing towards independence. I want to ask you this directly. Are you one of those who would support the territory moving to independence? This is as you as Myron V. Walwyn and Honorable Myron V. Walwyn.
I would say that a people have an inherent right to self-determination. And the reason why I'm urging the Premier, and I've urged him consistently, privately and publicly, about speaking to people about what self-determination means. Self-determination is not a synonym for independence. Independence is a form of self-determination. There are other options as well. And so the conversation has got to be one publicly, where you can educate the public on the various forms of self-determination, and they can then make a determination as to what form they wish, or if they wish to stay how they are. That's the democracy that we live in. And so you cannot hijack the wishes of the people to go a direction that you want to go. That is the fundamental problem. The other question is, and my view is that there has to be a litmus test for independence, if that is the one that you choose. It has to be that we believe that we are at the point of political and economic maturity that we can manage our own affairs. It should have anything to do with the British. And that's where we continue to go wrong. We always talk about independence, because we want to get away from the British. We have that inherent right already to self-determination. The British is irrelevant. What is important is our people, the confidence of our people to move in whatever direction or whatever form of self-determination we want. And that conversation has to be had. Not that you have your brother in a back room in the UN speaking for 30-something thousand persons without consulting us. That is undemocratic. And that is my concern with the issue. And again, I'm saying to him publicly, come to the people of this country, discuss the issue of self-determination and independence openly, get your marching orders from the people, and then you decide based on what the people have said, what direction you're going to take. That is the problem.
And so that response goes towards your personal.
I started out by saying that every country or every people have that inherent right to self-determination. It's an inherent right.
Good afternoon, Sean Connolly, business editor of the BVI Beacon. You've been pushing for this vote of no confidence or vote of confidence, technically call it, since September. And after you took over in May, you've been pursuing that. This is the first real test of your leadership, and you failed that test spectacularly, didn't you, Mr. Walwyn?
Why? Well, I'll have to now reverse the role. Why would you say I failed that test spectacularly?
Well, should we go through it?
Yes.
It's difficult to see how it could have actually gone much worse for you. You appear to be bumped into it on the run-in to a weekend and a week when the territory was preoccupied by the emancipation festivities. Nobody else spoke on the debate. Only one opposition member supported you, the ex-leader of the opposition who you deposed earlier this year. He actually abstained. I mean, could it have gone much worse?
Well, the first thing I'll say to you on the timing, when a sitting starts, you don't know when the sitting is going to end. There's an order paper that you have to go through. There's government business that normally takes place before. And depending on what is involved in the matters that you're dealing with, sometimes it goes longer, sometimes it goes shorter. That's the first thing. We're not in control of that. The second thing is, I started out by saying very clearly that a vote of no confidence is not about majorities. That's not what it's about. We went into the vote of no confidence under no illusions at all that we would win. That was not the objective, because a vote of no confidence serves different purposes. That might be the one that you'll get the most spoils. But the key thing is for you to be able to articulate what the concerns are of the public, because what was written in that vote of no confidence is exactly what is affecting each and every citizen of this country. And in articulating those concerns, sometimes a solo can be just as effective as a choir. I was a solo and I sang quite well, articulating the concerns of the people of the country. The government heard those concerns, and even though they did not debate, it must be resting very heavily on their minds. So to me, the vote of no confidence was quite successful because it conveyed what the people of this country have on their minds, and I was able to convey that to them. If other persons abstain, that's a matter for them. People send who they want to the House of Assembly to represent their interest. Every single person must be responsible for their stewardship to the people of this country. If somebody wants to sit down and abstain, that's a matter for them. I chose to stand up and speak on behalf of the people of this country. So to say it was a failure is absolutely false. The message came across loud and clear.
I have covered Westminster and the Irish Parliament for 30 years. It's the first time I've ever heard any serious politician say that, a vote of no confidence, the aim isn't to bring down the government, but that's maybe...
That's Westminster. Welcome to the Virgin Islands, sir. We do things a little different. The key thing is to articulate the concerns of the public. And you do not normally, if you read the order paper and understand it, you do not normally get the level of time and latitude in any other segment of the parliamentary session that you get when you bring a vote of no confidence.
A lot of people today would no doubt be, a lot of people listening today would no doubt, share some of your concerns, maybe a lot of them, about the present government. Yes. And you had an opportunity to actually force that forward and bring it through. And as I said, you were the only one to speak. Only one other opposition member backed you, another one abstained. The other two, didn't vote. It's not spectacular. And how would you respond to people who say that you actually presided over a parliamentary clown show?
Well, I would pity those persons, and I hope you're not one of them.
I'm an objective observer. I'm neutral.
Right. And I'll refer back to what I said before. The key issue is to bring the points affecting this country to the fore. And that was done. And I think it was done quite effectively. The vote was had. Honorable Turnbull came back in time for the vote to show his support for the concerns being raised by the people. And that's all I can say at this point, sir.
Where is the opposition to the opposition today? Where are the other two members? You don't seem to have control over them.
Do you have control over anybody, sir? That is not what
I'm not leader of the opposition.
No.
To be premier, to be fair.
But the point is, sir, I'm asking you a question, even in your own personal capacity, do you have control of anybody? The way that the opposition functions from April 23rd or from April 2023 is that we operate utilizing technology. We utilize WhatsApp, and that's the way we've been operating. Whenever we are communicating about anything, the information is placed there for everyone to see. Just like I've done previously in this particular meeting, for this particular press conference, a message was sent out. Honorable Penn gave his regards. He said he's traveling today. Honorable Mater and Honorable Turnbull indicated that they would be here. We had a meeting prior to this press conference. Honorable Skelton did not acknowledge the message, and he's clearly not here today. But that's not a matter for me. The people elected individuals to serve their interest. And it's a matter for those persons to use that confidence placed in them, how they choose to do so. I chose to be here today. I chose to stand up in the House of Assembly, albeit alone, to show the people of District 6 and the people of this country who have placed their confidence in me that even if I have to stand alone, stand I will. I don't need a choir to sing, sir. I can do a solo quite well.
But Mr. Warren, though, would you accept that then you call yourself leader of the opposition, but you're only leader of a rump of 3 members, including yourself?
I'll hit him first. I would invite you to kind of take a look at the Constitution to understand how that works, right? We have 5 members of the opposition. There are 3 members who are of one accord and who have made that decision in terms of leadership of the opposition. That is protected in the Constitution of the Virgin Islands. It doesn't, and the Constitution does not define a political party. A group of members together can be deemed as a political party for the purposes of the Constitution.
Finally, just a procedural matter. After the 23 election...
I think Honourable Turnbull wants to speak.
I would like to respond to
Yes.
you, Sean. I said it during other business. I said it here today that my absence in the House of Assembly for the time of the debate, I apologize for it because I should have been there. I should never have left to try to go anywhere except where I originally intended to be, which was the House of Assembly. And I make no excuses or put blame on anybody else but myself. But if I would have been there would have been a contribution from myself. I know if Honorable Mehta would have been there would be a contribution from him as well. Here's the beautiful part about it. What we are saying to the people of the Virgin Islands today is that we apologize and we accept fully our responsibilities. Even though Honorable Walwyn sang his solo, we are still there to support him. And the vote of no confidence, be it that it was defeated this time around, we will continue to lament, we will continue to agitate, and we will continue to bring to the fore the needs and the concerns of these people of Virgin Islands. Even if it's just us 3, we will be responsible and we will be accountable to the people of Virgin Islands and continue to stand on principle.
Okay, on that basis, after 23, the opposition said that you were going to have a shadow cabinet and evolve in that way. Has that taken place? Are there plans to put that in place?
Well, it has been happening because as you see that there's some members who speak on specific things that affect the territory. Because there are so many different things that affect the territory as well. Other members also speak on other things because, for instance, if you're a district candidate, for instance, you have to also speak on things that affect your district that might span some of the other shadow ministries that are there. So the structure is still very much in place, even though we don't say it in a formal way. Members use that as a guiding principle in terms of the issues that they articulate on.
Can you say who's got which portfolios at the moment then?
Well, I recall I was handling things like the economic issues and tourism. Honorable Mehta was dealing fisheries and education, youth affairs. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Cindy Roseanne, Guava Berry Media. What is the relationship between you and the other 2 members of the opposition, in particular the Honorable Marlon Penn?
That's for me?
Yeah.
My relationship is professional and very cordial, and I try to always keep it that way. As I indicated before, we have a preferred method of communication. Whatever is being done is properly communicated in that group that we have. And if there needs to be a conversation, there is one. When we meet in Public Accounts Committee, we discuss issues as well. So it's a cordial and professional relationship on behalf of the people of the country.
But is it hampering your ability to be effective as an opposition?
I don't think so at all. I don't think so. And as I said before, that each person was elected to serve. And it is for those persons to be able to utilize that opportunity to serve people, or the people who elected them, in the way that they choose. And if we all love this country and things are being done that are in the best interest of the country, we should lock hands on those things. If they're not, then we have difficulties and we differ on the way forward on certain things. But I don't see things being hampered, at least not from my end. You might have to direct that question to the other persons who are not here. But certainly, we'll push on, or I will push on with the other two members that are here. And if the others choose to join us in the future, they're certainly welcome to do so.
Thank you. Despite the delusion of the sitting government, the people are frustrated. What does the alliance bring to the table to suggest hope to the territory and to young voters?
I'll take this first. First of all, this is not an alliance press conference. It is the opposition press conference. And I would certainly much prefer to address matters of the alliance, because alliance has the political connotation to it, to address those things at the appropriate time when we have a press conference as the alliance. The key thing for us right now is that you have a government right now that's in office, and our job as the opposition is to hold that government to account. And that is what we are trying our utmost to do, to bring the issues to the fore, to use whatever parliamentary instruments or devices that are available to us, such as a vote of no confidence, to use the Public Accounts Committee, which you'll be hearing some announcements from us very soon, and some of the things that we're doing. And certainly that is our focus. Anything in relation to the alliance, I think, is a matter that we will handle at a separate occasion. And it shouldn't be too far from now.
Fair enough, because my follow-up question was going to be, when can we have that press conference?
Yes.
Because people
Yes.
are interested in some
Yes.
questions. I have my third question, and maybe a gift question. The governor is back in the territory. When are you looking to follow up with him on the letter you sent him regarding the people's $5 million being investigated?
The governor did respond to my letter, and he did indicate to me that he had asked the Auditor General to look into the matter. I was able to confirm with the Auditor General that she's in fact doing so.
So you're going to follow up?
Well, you've asked her to look into it. The Auditor General, based on the Audit Act, cannot be directed. But I do believe there's a question to be asked, and I'm sure that she'll probably direct her mind to it.
Okay, my final question. As a former member, I know you want to go home, but as a former minister under the NDP government, who authorized the $7.5 million payout to BVI Airways? To your knowledge, was that done by the then sitting Premier Smith, or an entity with no assigned power within your then government?
What I would say to you, Cindy, is that what members of government or cabinet see are things that the respective minister for the subject brings to them, right? I know that approval was given by cabinet. I don't remember all the details because it's quite dated, right? But I know that whatever monies was supposed to go to BVI Airways for the arrangement was supposed to be given in tranches with certain deliverables attached to it. I learned subsequently that all was given without all the deliverables and not in the manner in which was prescribed. That is all I know about the matter. I wouldn't know the inner workings of who else were involved and so on, because that would have been held or be handled by the minister responsible for the subject.
Thank you.
Cindy, if I may just echo what the Honorable Walvin said, I would have been elected in my first term with the National Democratic Party, the government, but not in the cabinet. after 2022, I became a member of cabinet. I can't disclose what happened in cabinet, but I am aware. That's why I raised it today. That there are some discrepancies, there are some inconsistencies that the government and the DPP has the authoritative arm to push further towards investigations, further investigations into that BVI Airways saga, as the leader opposition has says, into the $5 million for Bank of Asia. And I am in no way, shape, or form going to be surprised, because if you follow the money long enough, you will end up under the rock.
Do you guys know of inside conversations within your NDP government, and I'm passing the mic now, where the former premier's wife was the one that we're understanding that sent that initial email to the then FS to move that money? Is that a conversation that you guys have heard somewhere in your inner party circles?
I have the knowledge of it, and it's the first time I'm hearing it, to be quite honest.
Good afternoon. Zan Lewis, ZBV Radio. You know what I'm concerned about, gentlemen? You said about, you spoke about the other two members of the opposition, and you continued correspondence with them, not only with this press conference, but with other matters, and they were not there. What I have the difficulty with is still calling itself the loyal opposition when there is disloyalty. There is disloyalty. The five of you are not loyal to each other. So where the loyal opposition still comes in when there is disloyalty among those two persons. And from you, Mr. Warren, what is the problem?
Zan, you just did a play on words. when you pledge allegiance, you pledge allegiance to His Majesty. That's what that loyalty means, in the way you just used it, right? When you call yourself His Majesty's loyal opposition. The people of this country, nonetheless, you must be loyal to them as well, right? And it is for the people to decide, based on what they see, who they determine were loyal to them or not. And when the appropriate time comes, then they will reward those persons who they felt were loyal to them. As it relates to what is the problem, I can't answer that. I get up every day thankful to the people of District 6 for reposing their confidence in me under the most difficult circumstances. The people of District 6 voted for me with a bogus criminal charge on my back. And they took an interest in me. They believed that I could represent their interests, notwithstanding all that was happening around. And so I get up every day with nothing but gratitude to those people for their support. And I come down to the House of Assembly, I go wherever I need to go to represent their interests. And those are the people that I will be held accountable to for my stewardship. Other persons, and I know that is a feeling of the member for the second, and certainly the at-large member Meta who is here. The other persons who choose to do otherwise, they will have to also answer to those people who elected them as well. I can't speak for them.
I'm going to ask you a next question, but do not answer me by saying the people will decide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you, you made a statement that they should be responsible for their stewardship to the country.
Yes.
You think that's coming from them at this point, or you believe they're behaving petty at this time? Not to attend meetings like this and to discuss matters relating to the opposition, because the strong opposition is important.
A strong opposition is important, yes. And I do believe the strength doesn't only come in numbers alone, you know, Zan. I think that's part of where we're getting misguided. Because even as the good gentleman from the Beacon spoke about a vote of no confidence and bringing it, I remember, if you can remember as well, when we were in the government, there were 11 members on the government side and 2 on the opposition side. And I think they brought 2 vote of no confidence motions against us. And so they did their job again in terms of bringing the issues raised to the fore. I don't want to get in Zan into the purview of discussing any issues surrounding the other two members like that. I think you need to direct those questions to them. What is of concern to me and to the other members who are here, as we've articulated, are the concerns affecting, the issues affecting the quality of life for the people of the Virgin Islands. And we chose to speak out on those things, on issues of the economy, on issues of agriculture, the seniors, the differently abled, unemployment, the issue, of course, with self-determination and independence. Those are issues that we have decided to lend our voices to. The other members might lend their voice in probably in a different forum that they perhaps might feel more comfortable. But I think any question in relation to them should be directed to them when you have the appropriate opportunity to do so.
Zana, I believe the key for me and my responsibility to the people of the second district and the people of this territory as well is to continue in the vein in which I've been representing them and standing up on their behalf. Being present, being visible, being accessible to their needs and concerns, and doing what is necessary to help meet some of the needs and concerns and issues raised to alleviate some of the challenges that they are facing. And I want to say to you and to the people of the Virgin Islands that the three of us here, I know you may, this conference is a opposition's conference, but these are the three members of the alliance who came from two different political parties to show that we are committed to the needs of the people. So where there might be differences in opinion and difference in preferences, principle is the people must be first. And I don't intend to spend any more time being accountable or trying to be accountable for persons who don't want to participate in what we're doing. I believe the three of us have shown enough that we are here and we will go forward, and we will go forward with the concerns of the people. I took some licks, and I will continue to take my licks from the people of my community and people from the territory who said, listen, we are looking to the three of you. Don't worry about anybody else. We are looking to the three of you to be the alternative to the government, and you guys have to be present, you have to be consistent, and that is my dedicated commitment. So come in here to answer questions that we've been answering from his end. I am not interested in it any further. As Honorable Leader Opposition said, if the other members choose to answer, let them answer, but don't ask me anymore. The three of us are here, and we're going to stand and we're going to continue to go forward on behalf of the people of this territory.
It was just briefly said about this $100,000 given to, I think it's three or four businesses out there. Elaborate more on that. These businesses given this $100,000 each based on the inconvenience because that road has been going on for over a year. Elaborate on that, about this $100,000 for those businesses.
Go first. Well, in the SAPZAN, we learned, we uncovered and discovered some information surrounding money that the Premier and Minister of Finance is responsible for. And one of the things that came up when the Premier was asked to break down the monies that were allocated, because in the budget or in the SAP you would see a subhead and then you would see notes on the side, and they basically categorize everything together. But if you're diligent like we are, we ask for the details. So we got from, I think it was over some $500,000 or $600,000. We got the details, and then we kept digging, and we were like, okay, well, you shot $100,000. What did that for? And it was like, the businesses that in the Fatags Bay area, between Paraquita Bay and Fatags Bobs, they were affected by the inconvenience of the road work. So $100,000 grant was given to them. So it worked out to be about, I think, either 20 or 20 something thousand dollars to each of those businesses that were inconvenienced. And the leader opposition raised it in his contribution that $100,000 were given to those businesses for inconvenience for whatever 4 or 6 months or whatever the case may be, but not even $150,000 were given in the Small Business Development Bureau for entrepreneurs and small businesses who are struggling or who are trying to get into business. So for the territory, you only budget $150,000, but in this inconvenience in your district, specifically in your district, and I could guarantee Zan, there has been no production of evidence of the books of what these businesses would have earned or been able to earn if they were not inconvenienced. And I guarantee you, $20,000 for each one. So this is the kind of things that if we don't probe and we don't continue to ask, we won't know the answers to it. Just like we found out about the $300,000 for the Uber Soca cruise. Those were things that is all lumped together. And the premier has been and continues to be reluctant in how he answers it. I can't remember that. And then when you dig a little bit further, oh, we don't have that information in front of us. So everybody is being nonchalant about the people's money because they're spending it as if it's theirs.
Zani, the question that you asked about what happened to other persons, you see these other issues, when these issues are happening, if you have to go alone or with part of the group to bring this information to the public, you have to do it. You can't sit back and wait for other persons, because the same information that we have, those persons have as well, because we are all in the same parliamentary sessions together. And it's what the premier continues to do is to use the government as some sort of personal regime of power that is willed to him. And you see this action permeating every single thing he does, from his spending on his parties and all his different other things, to moving towards independence without having a conversation. It's a pattern of behavior. You have, actually it was $127,000 that was budgeted for small businesses. We've been saying to him for the longest time, businesses are having a difficult time staying afloat. Small businesses, that's the engine of the economy. People are employed there. They get a chance to pay for their mortgages. They get a chance to pay rent. They get a chance to pay for food and so on. They support the economy. Any sensible government would make sure that the small businesses are thriving well, because that is where your tax base resides. You place $127,000 to be shared among almost 3,000 small businesses throughout the entire territory of the Virgin Islands. And you place the most onerous conditions on them to get that money. Suppose you see the laundry list of things that the people are supposed to give, including all kind of things about good standings. Would people who could afford to pay their bills come to you asking for a grant? That should be a separate arrangement. You help the businesses to get strong enough so that they can address all the issues that they're supposed to address. But here, because those businesses are in your district, you arbitrarily put $100,000 with no stipulations attached to it to give out to those businesses. And you give to those businesses because of your negligence. Why taking almost a year for a little piece of road like that to be completed? And then you turn around now, after the inconvenience to the people of the country, you end up and take up more of their money, $100,000, arbitrarily, just because it's your district and you're looking votes. And you give out to businesses like that, while other businesses throughout the territory are suffering.
Finally, in light of what you just said, you made an urgent call of the people in the territory during your speech not to accept the government has $100 million to put to water. And we know the water problems there. And he called on the people not to accept that. Do not allow this to happen. What are you calling for? What the people in New York, judging from what you said, what they need to do to prevent this and to get more money into water?
What people need to do, and we need to start to use our votes and our power as a people more effectively. It cannot just be used during election time. We have to be consistent with what we want and consistent in terms of the level of representation that we want. Each district has a representative and they have 4 at-large members. People need to start to lobby their representatives, the at-large and the district persons, for things that are important to the country. And so, even though the gentleman from the Beacon, and I'm going to pick on him today, say that we were wasting our time, you know the amount of people that said to me, Myron, if you didn't have that vote of no confidence, all these things that are happening in the country, I would not have known. And just like we're having this press conference here today, Kathy, I see your mouth wide open. When Mitch was talking about $100,000, you were frightened. And there are people out there who did not have this information. And so our job as the opposition is being done to bring the information to the public about things that are happening in the country. And once people are armed with the information, then they access their representatives to say this cannot happen. You have a $100 million loan facility. You put about $8 million towards fixing water, fully well knowing that that is woefully insufficient to address the problem. The biggest problem facing this country now is access to a supply of potable running water. You can't borrow $100 million and then after all of that, you still don't have the problem fixed because you earmark some of the money for pork projects, hoping to use the $100 million to win an election, and people can't get water to bathe. That is unacceptable. And so when we come out and we speak, even the 3 of us, if other people don't want to come, that's a matter for them. But we will come to the fore and tell the people of this country what is taking place in the government and ask them to remain alert and use their voices to assist us in getting this country on the direction it should be.
If I may, there comes a point in politics, and I know I'm new in politics, where you have to really look within yourself as a representative and ask yourself, am I really insulting the intelligence of the population? $8 million allocated on the 20th of June, 2025. And as I said in my presentation, for a problem that has been said that it was a problem by other governments ongoing. Why can't the present government collectively decide we are addressing this issue? Do it. Just do it and get it over with. Then use it as a campaign strategy that we did it. Simple. Make it happen. But to answer your question directly, within our population, there are engineers who know that that funding is not enough, who may know that the way that we're suggesting, or the government is suggesting to address it is not enough. Because besides the water and the distribution of water, there are the roads. Are we digging up the roads? And given what was said before fixing the water or after, and what was said by Honorable Turnbull, where that $100,000 allocated to some of the vendors in Paraquita Bay, because there are other vendors that have not been addressed. When we start as a country to address that 38 miles of road that the government has trumpeted that they're going to address, digging it up, dealing with infrastructure of water and roads, what is the policy for compensating businesses that will now be affected? Or are we just going to willy-nilly say that we're going to give funds in the districts that are green and forget the others?
I also want to interject on the point raised, on the question raised, and because Honorable Waldwin and Honorable Mehta just did a tremendous job, but I want to elaborate a little bit. The Water and Sewage Department last year during the budgetary exercises said that we are spending just under $27 million per year on water. And they were happy to report that we have moved from collecting $5 million to just about $7 million. So you now, out of this $100 million, earmark $8 million for water infrastructure development. 27 minus 7 is 20. 20 minus 8 is 12. You're still $12 million short in terms of meeting, balancing your books. That $8 million is not going to go towards infrastructure development. It's going to go to try to meet some of the shortfall, just as this government has done with NHI over the past years. They've taken $10 million, and you think it is going in to beef up the system to be able to help persons when they need to access care, but it goes in to pay bills of creditors that they owe, and people still can't get service. So this government, as we continue to say, lacks the ability to plan. They lack the ability to execute. I have gone through my district over the last 2 days. I have machine in Spooners, I got machine in Just Van Dyke, I got machine in King Galway, I got machine in Bruce Bay. Trying to prepare now, 2 days, thereabout, before the impact of this impending storm. Why this couldn't be a plan all along? And we've been asking for it. You're going to tourism is the same thing. We in August now. Tourism season starts back in October. Where is the plan? We're going to do the same thing over and over. And then when we highlight what is happening throughout the region, throughout the Caribbean, throughout our neighbors, it's a comparison. No, it's a comparison because we were the leaders. The BVI were the leaders. Let's get back to the place where we belong. And if you don't know how to do the job, say so. And if you don't realize that your leader is not doing the job, stop blowing smoke and stop telling fibs, but be accountable to the people of this territory and tell them, listen, we can't take this anymore either because all people complaining. But this you liken it onto a cult on about wow. And I wrote it, but I didn't say it. And this thing is circulating in this territory again. It cannot be about party, and it cannot be about you holding on and blowing these accolades up into a man who don't have no clothes on. Thank you very much.
Okay, as we conclude this press conference, we want to thank the media for coming out and asking their questions. Now, to wrap up the press conference, we will have the closing remarks by the members of the opposition. We'll begin with Honorable Mehta, then we'll follow with Honorable Turnbull, and then the leader of the opposition will wrap up the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. To the listening audience, the Virgin Islands population, I say that, again, I am humble for what you have given me, the opportunity to represent you, and I will continue to do so. I ask your forgiveness for my actions on that day, and I pledge that I will continue to work to be a voice among those who may not be comfortable with the things that I may say or the approach that I may take, because I do believe in a Virgin Islands where everyone has an opportunity to live, an opportunity to thrive, and an opportunity to look for a future that we no longer say it will come, but we know that it's being worked on in a way that is measurable. To the leader of the opposition, again, I apologize for my absence that day. And to those who maliciously want to say things about my allegiance not being to my colleagues who are here and to my country, and those who want to put seeds of doubt to suggest that Stacey Mather is moving and going here and going there, please stop with your nonsense. I am known as a person who speaks my mind, and if I have intentions, I will make that public. No one else will do so for me. Thank you.
To the people of the Virgin Islands, I am grateful for this opportunity. I'm thanking you all for tuning in, to the media that asked the questions. To the people of the 2nd District, I again give my gratitude and sincere appreciation to you for your confidence in me. I, as my honorable colleague, will also again apologize for my absence. But I have made a pledge to you, I've made a pledge to myself and to my colleagues. I don't think they're going to beat me to any meeting or anything that we have in going forward, because we have a job to do. And I believe now more than ever, this alliance that we have formed in the opposition needs to buckle down, We need to step up. We need to be louder, and that is my pledge to you. That is my pledge to the honorable members here, Leader Opposition Honorable Meta, that we will continue to represent the people of the Virgin Islands' interests and their concerns. I want to bid everyone a safe time as this storm approaches. I keep praying that it goes away from us, but in the event that it does come, please be safe. Please make the necessary preparations. To those persons that are ailing and having difficulties in our community, I continue to pray your strength and God's covering over your life. May God continue to bless these beautiful Virgin Islands.
I want to thank the good people of the Virgin Islands and also you members of the media for joining us here today. I want to make it very clear to you that we're not here just opposing for the sake of opposing. We recognize that the voice of the opposition is very important in bringing information to the fore. It is also very important to assist the government themselves, because an effective government should make for a better government. And we are hoping that as we speak, as we raise the concerns, and the members of the government know that we are speaking the truth, that they use the information and the things and the suggestions that we bring forward in a constructive manner. Because at the end of the day, all we want is life that is better for the people of these Virgin Islands. We'll continue to dialogue with you. We'll continue to bring information to your attention. We can't do it alone. We need your help as well. As we bring information to you, you can also then speak to the persons who you have elected to be able to steer their minds in the right way to do what is best for the people of the territory. As the storm approaches us, I encourage everyone to be mindful, be watchful, to prepare as best you can for what may come to us. As Honorable Meta indicated, let us be neighborly, let us be friendly. I said to a friend of mine just the other day that one of the best times we had in these Virgin Islands in recent memory was right after Hurricane Irma. And then I joked and said, by the time we got ice and Panchi Chicken Van were open, we went back to the same behavior. And I want to ask us to please not to do that. Let us be neighborly, let us be helpful, be as helpful to anyone as you can who might be in need. And I pray that God will watch over us and certainly protect us as the storm passes. Again, thank you so very much, everyone, for taking the time to be here with us this afternoon.